Thank you for taking the time to join us today for the Plus Group webinar series. Today's topic is the new factory, designing your financial service business for the marketplace of tomorrow. Our presenter is Mr. Bill Bishop. He is a speaker, author, entrepreneur, and a business coach. Please note that all lines will be muted during this webinar. If you would like to ask a question, please go to the question pane on your control panel and type it in. We'll answer the questions at the end of the webinar. Also note that we are recording this webinar and it will be sent to you along with the presentation in a follow-up email which you should receive tomorrow. You can also go to our website and view it there and listen to it at www.plusgroup.us.com. Okay, everyone, thank you again, and I'm going now to turn this over to Bill.
Okay, great. Thanks, Tracy. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to make this presentation. So, like Tracy said, this is called the new factory. So the question that I'm going to put out there for you is your business, the way you're running it, is it an old factory or a new factory? So what I've learned from working with thousands of financial people, financial advisors, in different parts of your industry, is that there's really now two kinds of businesses. There's old factories and new factories. So I'm going to, over the next 30 minutes, I'm going to talk about the difference between those two things and the pros and cons of those two different kinds of businesses. So just a little bit about me so you know where I'm coming from and why I ended up doing what I do to help people like you. And it goes back a long way. I have a marketing business, but I never thought I was going to go into marketing. So I was in journalism school. This is going back maybe 35 years now. And while I was in school, I got a job working at a restaurant. It's called the Keg Restaurant, which is a steak restaurant. And I was a waiter there. And it was a really good job for somebody that is in school, because I made a lot of tips, right? Well, one night the manager came up to me and said, well, we're having a contest to see who can sell the most lobsters. And I said, well, that's weird. I mean, we're a steak restaurant. And he says, yeah, that's how we make our profit. We get people to buy additional things besides the steak, and the lobster is the most profitable thing that we can sell them. So we sell a lot of those, we make a lot more profit. So I said, well, how do you sell lobsters? And he said, well, just each time somebody comes up to you, or when you go up to the table and they order their steak, just suggest to them that they might have a lobster with it. And he said, if you sell the most lobsters and win the contest, then you're going to win a really big prize. And if you come in last, you're going to lose your job. So he threw that in at the end there. And I said, uh-oh, I definitely don't want to lose my job. So I went out there and I tried really hard to get people to buy the lobster. And after 3 weeks, nothing worked. Nothing worked. I'd only sold 4 lobsters. And 2 of those I actually bought for myself so then I could make my score look better. So I was in last place. I'm going to lose my job here, right? So I figured I got to try something else. So I tried a bunch of things, and then suddenly something worked incredibly well. I'd hit on something, which now I call a big idea. And I ended up selling 1,400 lobsters. So over the next 6 weeks, practically everybody bought the lobster from me. And it was actually really easy once I figured it out. And I won the contest. The second person sold 90 lobsters. So I was totally head and shoulders over everyone else. Now, everybody wanted to know how was I doing this. And, of course, because it was a contest, I wasn't going to tell anybody. Kept it a secret, right? And I never did. I never told anybody until many years later. I wrote a book, and it's called How to Sell Lobster. And I just kind of wrote this kind of fun to tell them about this experience and other things. And it kind of took off, and we sold about 1 million copies of this book in all kinds of languages. And everybody's kind of intrigued about how I did that, sell the lobster, because there was this big lesson in it for everybody. That they go, wow, that's really powerful. So you're probably wondering how I sold the lobsters, but you're going to have to wait till the very end, and I'll tell you how I did that. So I also wrote a book called The Problem with Penguins, which I'm going to touch on in a second, just about how to stand out in a crowded marketplace. And I'm working on a book right now called The New Factory, which is what this presentation is about. So I haven't got that book done. I'm hoping to have that done sometime in the fall. I've written a lot of books. I do a lot of speaking. And I've got a program that I help people with called the Big Idea Adventure. And that's what my job is. So I just wanted to know what I do. And I've had about 1,500 entrepreneurs, probably about 800 of them in financial services, go through this program to help them come up with what I call a big idea. Now, so that's just a little bit about me and how I got to where I am. Now, the thing about that lobster thing was that there was one really big lesson that I learned, was that people buy ideas, not products or services. So when it wasn't working, I was just trying to sell them a lobster. I was just telling them about the product and how great it was and trying to get them to buy it. But when I ended up selling a lot of lobsters is when I started using an idea instead. So this is something that very, very powerful lesson, is that people buy ideas, not products and services. And once you get your head around this, you're going to be able to see, oh, wait a minute, I may have been doing this all wrong all these years. I've been talking about the product. Better to talk about an idea. So this is where it's all led all these years, 35 years, to this conclusion that really there's two kinds of businesses. There's old factories and new factories. And which type of business you are will have the most impact on whether or not you're going to be successful. So what's the difference? So an old factory is built around a product and service. So if someone asks you what you do, you say, well, you know, I sell insurance, or I'm a financial advisor, or sell disability insurance, whatever it is that your, per se, product is, right? That's how you see it. That's what you see your business as. Whereas a new factory is built around a big idea. It's not about any particular product and service. It's about an idea that's very compelling for the prospect or client. Now, the whole goal of this new factory, which is what I'm suggesting you might want to do, is that it will actually help you double your income and work 50% less hard. So this is a suggestion to you of what you might want to try to work towards. It's not work harder to make more money, but to actually figure out how can I make more money and work less. And that was the other beautiful thing about the whole lobster contest. When I figured it out, it was actually way easier, and I was making way more money. So that's always been my objective in anything that I'm teaching people. How can we double your income and work less hard? Make it easier. So let's talk about a new factory. I'll give you an example of somebody that's done this. So the fellow's name is Richard Harvey, and when I met him, he was running an old factory. He said, listen, you know, in my town, there's tens of thousands of people out there selling financial products who are financial advisors, what have you, and we're all kind of the same. He said, I got the penguin problem. So I can't stand out from anybody. And when people ask me what we do, I say exactly what everyone else says. And when I do it, I do exactly what everyone else does. And I tell them I'm doing it better, but nobody really believes me, right? So he says, I'm definitely running an old factory. It's kind of the old way of doing things. So, you know, he realized that his business was built around financial services, right? And he sold all kinds of things, insurance and investments and all the standard stuff. But it was, all of these things were kind of a bit of a commodity, right? So he said, you know, I really got the penguin problem, just not standing out from all the other people out there that are doing and saying what I do. So I helped him come up with a big idea. And he had just seen a movie, it's called The Bucket List. Maybe you've seen the movie. It's with Morgan Freeman and Jack Nicholson. And in the movie, these guys are getting kind of old, and they say, we've got to get going and do the things we want to do before we kick the bucket. So they make their bucket list, right? And he said, I really like that movie. I was wondering maybe if I could help my clients do that. Maybe that would be kind of interesting. Help him do that. So he created a program called the Bucket List Program, and he trademarked it. And basically what he says to people, he says, listen, you know, sure, I'm a financial advisor, but there's thousands of those, but I have this special thing called the Bucket List Program, and if you want, for free, the first thing is I will help you do your bucket list. So you come to me, I'm not going to try and sell you insurance. I'm not going to talk to you about your money. We're just going to make your bucket list and get you all excited about that. And then after that, you can leave, or you could go to the next stage with me. So he solved a big problem. He's differentiating himself from all the other people, and he's also getting more people to meet with him because they think this sounds like fun. And of course, once they've done the bucket list, then they need to work on their money, and they need to get insurance, and they need to do all this. So he's got more prospects than he can handle right now because he's putting something out there that's completely different from everyone else. And it's all about this idea of the bucket list. And that gets people very excited because they're like, oh boy, I better get going on that because the clock is ticking, right? So the interesting thing with this was initially he was like, oh, I don't know, you know. Then he started trying it, and he realized everybody's eyes lit up. And so he realized, okay, this is good. I'm onto something here. And the other thing was that all the other advisors, all those other penguins, well, they think he's kind of crazy doing this crazy bucket list thing. And he says, yeah, that's great. I hope I just keep thinking that because I don't want them doing this too, right? So he doesn't have any competition because nobody else is even thinking of doing this. But he's got his secret, right? He's got his secret big idea. So that's a good example. I'm going to give you a few more in a minute, okay? So you can get some ideas of what you might do. So I just want to talk a little bit about the old factory because this is the way that we all think about our businesses because it's just the way things have been done forever and ever. Financial service industry is a very old factory kind of thing, and it's just good to know what that means. Like, what does that actually mean? What's the old way of doing things? And here it is. This is really how people organize their business, design their business. They pick some kind of product. So in this case, it's like insurance, right? Pick a product. That's what I've got. And then you get some operations. Maybe you need an office with a computer, and you got all your stuff. You know, you've got your office stuff, right? And then you go out and you make your sales pitch. You tell everybody about your products and services. And then you do some transactions. And that's it. Now, sounds pretty obvious. Well, what else would you do, right? Yeah, and that's the way people think because that's the way we've been doing it forever. Like, you think of any business, big or small, new or old, this is really how it's been designed. And it worked for hundreds of years, a couple hundred years. But it doesn't work anymore for a whole bunch of reasons. And so what I've done, just from all my work with people, is I've realized that this is the underlying operating system, and it's an old operating system, just like an old operating system on a computer. It just doesn't work anymore. But where this is all we know right now. So the thing is that most financial advisors, with all different product categories and so on, are all product-oriented old factories. And why some of them are struggling, I mean, not all of them, some of them are still doing pretty good, but they'd like to do better. And it just seems like it's getting harder and harder to make that work somehow. And I'm saying, yeah, I want to help you sell lots of products so you can make lots of money, but maybe doing it the old factory way isn't working anymore. Maybe there's a better way. Now, the reason why we need to have a better way is because the marketplace is changing. And I've only got a half an hour, so I can't get into all the things that are changing. But due to the internet and computers and competition, globalization, all of these things, all the smartphones, robo-advisors, everything, it's completely changing the marketplace, unprecedented changes. But one of the big things that are changing is that the marketplace is splitting into two groups. That really there's only two types of marketplaces now. There's the fast food marketplace and the gourmet marketplace. So on the fast food side, the client is searching for the best price for something. So just think about yourself. It doesn't matter about financial services, but anything. There's all kinds of things that you now think, well, I should just go on the internet and look for that, find the cheapest price on there because it's just a commodity, and I might as well just try to save as much money as possible. And a lot of things now, people are saying, it should be dead cheap, maybe even free in that marketplace. So one of the things I try to help people do is say, hey, are you in a fast food marketplace? Is that really your area? Because if it is, you're going to have a really hard time. You're competing against millions and millions of people. You're competing against the internet, and whatever happens in that marketplace is really not going to be very lucrative in the end. So this is the fast food. This is an area there. And then the other side of it, though, is that there's a gourmet marketplace where the client is willing to pay a lot for something special. Now, this isn't about people being rich or poor or cheap and, likes to spend a lot of money. It's just that certain situations, people are willing to pay a lot of money for things, and in other situations, the same person wants to get the very best deal. So it's like you might drive around for an hour looking for the cheapest gas to save 50 cents, but then that same night you'll go to a restaurant for your anniversary and you'll spend $300 for dinner and won't even look at the prices on the menu because it's a special occasion. Well, this is what your clients are like. They're either thinking, I'm going to get something cheap, or I'm going to get something special. And it's all, so then you got to decide, well, which one of those am I going to do? Where's the opportunity? So this has really made the old factory obsolete because all these products that these businesses are built around are becoming commodities. Because, almost everything eventually you could just buy on the internet and, search around, find the cheapest one. And why wouldn't you? Because, they're all the same, right? So to try to sell a quality hot dog, for example, and say this is a hot dog, yes, but it's the best one, it actually doesn't work. Because those people are going, I don't want to hear that. I'm just looking for the cheapest price. So selling on quality in a hot dog marketplace is very hard to do. That doesn't mean people don't need your products or services. It's just that their minds are working against you. So we need to do something else. So to survive in this new world, we need to create a new factory. So what does that look like? So the new factory is designed like this. You pick a particular type of client to focus on. So you tell people, I have one client, he says, well, I specialize in working with the owners of construction companies. That's what he did. And he said, you know what? That was the best decision I ever made because every time I say that to somebody like that, they immediately open up to me because they figure I'm an expert in them. So instead of being an expert in a product or service, you become an expert in a type of person. Hugely useful. The second thing is to have a big idea, something like the bucket list, to put out there that shows the people that you got something unique and better and different than everyone else, that you're providing more value than all the other penguins. Then you provide free value. So there's something that you're willing to offer that's usually hugely valuable, and you're willing to do that. So it's like giving them a piece of chocolate out of a box of chocolate. So instead of trying to sell the box, by telling them all about it, you just give them a piece of chocolate. So in Richard's case, he gave people the free bucket list session, right? Okay. Then we have a membership program. So if somebody wants to do your special thing, then they become a member. So now what you're going to have is you're going to have clients and you're going to have members. You have two levels, and people can choose which level they want. And if they choose member, then they feel like they're getting something special from you that they can't get from all the other penguins who are just offering them to become a client, right? And then we have a value hub. So the value hub then becomes this whole toolbox or warehouse of products and services that you can offer people. So you obviously have your primary ones that you're trying to sell right now, but you can offer other ones as well so that you can fully take advantage of that particular relationship you have with that member. And there are companies, the big companies that we know about that are doing this are Apple, Amazon, Google, Facebook, American Express. So those are like pretty big companies, right? But all kinds of smaller businesses are now starting to figure this out too, that this is a better way to design your business. So let me give you a few examples here of other people that have done this. And you'll see that they all have the same structure, but they all have a different big idea. So it's not about taking their big ideas and just using them. It's saying, okay, I want to use this structure, but I want to have my own big idea because that's what makes it so powerful, right? So let me give you their example. So this is Dawn Gordon, and she's from Las Vegas. And her old factory was investment management. That's what she told people. But then what she did, she called me and said, I got this thing. I'm giving this, got this booth at the Academy Awards, and I'm trying to figure out what to do at that booth because the celebrities come around before the show, and we're supposed to give them some free samples or something. So I can't think of what to give them. So I said, well, what you should do, because you're a financial advisor, is you should give them some money. So what she did was she came up with this thing called the Celebrity Bubble Wrap Program. I helped her come up with it. And I said, take a silver dollar, wrap it in bubble wrap, and when George Clooney comes up to you, hand him this bubble wrap thing. And she said, why would I do that? I said, well, go ahead and just try it. So she tried it, and George said, well, what is this? And Dawn said, well, George, you're a famous actor, and you make lots of money one year, not so much money another year, and your money's kind of fragile. Most celebrities, they lose all their money eventually. So what I do is I help celebrities bubble wrap their money. It's fragile. I help them protect it. That's what I do. So she gave that to all these movie stars, and they thought that was just amazing. They thought it was hilarious, for one, and two, they thought, well, that's a really good idea. She put the idea in their head that they should bubble wrap their money, and then when they had that idea in their head, they thought, well, who am I going to go to but the bubble wrap lady? So she got all kinds of business from that. So now she just uses that big idea with the celebrities just in all kinds of ways, and that's been her big idea for celebrities. So there you go. See, it's not talking about the products. She's giving the celebrities an idea. Got to bubble wrap my money. This is Mark Hudden, and another financial planner. That was what he said. But I also found out that he was a triathlete. So he runs these Ironman, goes in these Ironman competitions, right? So he obviously is in really good shape, a lot better shape than me. And I thought, well, maybe we could use that. So he came up with the core conditioning program. And so he tells people, he says, yeah, I have my basic thing. I can do the financial planning. Lots of people can do that. But I have this special thing, more advanced. It's called the core conditioning program. And it's to help you get in top financial condition by getting to the core of what you really want in life. So he says that's the key. You got to get to the core of what you really want in life. So that's why I call it the core conditioning program. And he's been sending me emails saying, people are just eating this up. They go, oh, thank God, somebody's actually doing something to really help me. They're not just trying to sell me a product. So he now would never do it any other way. He said, this is so much better than what he did in the past. So then we have Frances. She's in life insurance, and I just talked to her yesterday. And she's also very happy that she came up with a big idea. And her big idea is the Mountain Vision program. So once again, she gives people a choice. She says, you can give you the basic thing, which is all the normal financial stuff, or we can do the Mountain Vision program. And then that's to help you create and implement a vision to enjoy your life to the fullest. So she had one guy who was sitting there, and she just told him about it, not trying to sell him anything, just giving him the information. And he said, well, obviously I need the Mountain Vision program. Like, that's obvious, because I really need to work on this stuff. So guy signed up. He became a member. So she's been signing up members, and she says, it works really great. It says so much more relaxing. I don't have to act like a salesperson anymore. I'm just an expert with my packages, and I'm showing it to them and letting them make up their mind. So if they want to do the basic thing, fine. That's fine. That's what I was selling anyway. But if they want to do the advanced thing, even better, because those people tend to buy more product from me because they're in a program and they're a member. So they're really more committed. Then I have Jim Durkin. He's a financial advisor, and what he wanted to do was get into philanthropic planning. So people would buy lots of life insurance from him to, to fund those philanthropic things, so whatever those projects were. But he was finding that it was really hard because, lots of people said they did it. They didn't really see, why should I do it with you, all that kind of thing. Couldn't really get their head around it. Like, why do I even need somebody for that? So he created the Charitable Imperative Program. And really what he's saying is, listen, if you want to really feel good about yourself and really make the most of your wealth, it's imperative that you give money to charity. But you need a plan for that. You can't just do it willy-nilly. You have to have some kind of plan for that. So that he shows them his program. He says this is a step-by-step, stage-by-stage program that will help you put together a charitable plan and implement it. And that's working very well for him. It's much easier for him now to get people to do this. And, of course, now he's selling more insurance. And then I'll just go back to Richard Harvey again. So, he tells me, like he said, I'd never do this any other way. Like he said, now, like recently, he gave a conference. So he used to give seminars on all this financial stuff, and nobody wanted to come. They thought it was boring, right? And I was just trying to sell them something. So he had the bucket list conference, and he got like 200 people came. And all he did was work on their bucket list. Everybody worked on it. He got people to come up and give their bucket list out. Everybody's encouraging everybody. And about 50 of those people became clients of his. They joined his program, ultimately. So that's why I say he's got more business than he ever had before because he's got a big idea, right? The thing is, too, he didn't change everything. He just added on the big idea. Everything else he does is the same. So still always goes back to, well, why am I saying this? Like, well, how do I really know that this works? Besides the fact that it's worked for all these people, like I'm talking about hundreds and hundreds of them, is that it really goes back to the lobster contest. Because what happened was, is maybe you're wondering, how did I do it, right? Well, the thing was, when I went out there initially, and the people would order their steak, I said, would you like to buy a lobster with your steak? And they would just look at me and go, well, you're just some pushy waiter guy who's sort of a salesman and trying to make more money by selling a lobster. So their knee-jerk reaction was just to say no, right? Because that's the idea they had about me. I was just some guy trying to make, upsell them, right? So that wasn't working. So then I went out and I said, changed it, and I said, well, you have a choice. You can have the basic thing, which is just have the steak, or you can have our special thing, which is our special tonight, which is a steak and lobster for $18. That's what the price was in those days. So you can have the basic thing, the steak, or you can have our special, the steak and lobster. And everybody bought it. I was like, okay, wait a minute, why is everybody buying it? And it was because of the word special. Because that word put an idea in their head. And the idea was, well, if we order this, we're going to be special. And this dinner, this birthday party or whatever, is going to be special. So the perceived value just shot up 100 times just because of one word. And that's the thing. That's what I found. Use a different word and package things a little differently, and suddenly you're selling a lot more lobsters or whatever it is that you sell. And so that has stuck with me. And over all these years, we've been getting better and better at figuring out what are the words and the ideas that are really going to get people to engage you, see you as an expert, for one, not a pushy salesperson, an expert, and also then be excited because they have this idea in their head to work with you and buy all your stuff. Okay? So this is why we say you should have a new factory built around a big idea, just like the lobster special. That's kind of cool, eh? I love that story. Basically just tell myself that story every day to remind myself that you don't always have to work harder. Sometimes it's actually just about doing something smarter, obviously. So one of the things I do say is that the old factory way, the old sales product way, it's like playing checkers, right? So it's kind of easy thing to learn, but it doesn't always work that well. Whereas the new factory big idea way is more like playing chess. You know, you have to learn a little more. It's a little more sophisticated. It's not that much more, really. You have to learn different moves. You know, you have to think ahead a little bit, but it works way better. So it's just the difference between checkers and chess. So if you're interested in this, just as a follow-up to this call, I can help you with your big idea because sometimes it's hard for you to come up with your own. I look at it from the outside and give you some perspective on that. So I'll actually do a 2-hour session with you to help you come up with your big idea, figure out the words to use for it, and then to see, well, how could I deliver that to people? So this is kind of my mission. I've been doing this a long time, 30 years. I've done this with thousands of people. Everybody's got a big idea. Every one of them is different. And that's really exciting because it helps you go from, in a way, selling hot dogs, right, to being a gourmet chef. Because I think everybody is a gourmet chef deep down. They have the ability to do that, but they're all stuck selling hot dogs. And I say, why don't we sell more hot dogs by becoming a gourmet chef? And that's having a big idea. So if you want to do that, then what you should do is just either send me an email. We'll leave this up on the screen during the question. Bill_Bishop@biginc.com. That's my email. You can phone me, 647-436-8829, extension 101. Or you can visit my website, bishopbigideas.com. And there's a lot of other information on there. Like I have some videos that you can watch. And you can learn all about this stuff and lots more examples. So if you want to go to my website first and check that out, and then schedule the big idea session, that's a good idea too. So either way, just you can get a hold of me. Okay. So that's my talk in 30 minutes or less, hopefully. And now Tracy is going to tell me what your questions
out there.
Right?
Right. If anyone has a question, please go to the question pane on your control panel and type it in. I don't see any yet. I think you did a great job, Bill.
I've stupefied them.
Again, if you have a question, please go to the question pane on your control panel and just type it in, and we will respond to it.
Well, what I can do is there are a few things that people ask me a lot about, so while we're waiting, I can just answer. One is they think, okay, well, this is going to be very disruptive. Like I don't know if I want to change everything around. And the thing is, it's not about that. So the old factory, we're actually not changing at all. We're going to keep everything exactly the same, right? It's like I didn't change the steak restaurant, but we're going to add on the big idea. That's all we're doing. So you're not changing everything you're doing, just like adding on another 5% to what you're doing. And that's why it's so compelling, because it's actually pretty easy to do. It's just really changing the package. Just like, you know, I had this book that I was selling, and it wasn't selling very well, and we just changed the title of it slightly and the color of the book, and now it started selling 10 times better. I didn't change the book itself. I changed the package of it, right? So
I have some questions coming in now.
Okay.
You ready?
Okay.
First of all, what do you do beyond the big idea?
What do you do beyond the big idea? Is that asking, I wonder if that's asking me how do I help people, or what does the person do?
We're just going to have to interpret.
Yeah, okay. So I'll just think it's based on what do you do beyond the big idea. So when you have a big idea, then the way you want to handle it is to be a marketer as opposed to a salesperson. So a salesperson is going knocking on doors, but a marketer is someone who gets people to knock on their door. So the way to do that is to have some kind of free value, and in your businesses you're in, is you're an expert, so the best way to do that is to be like a teacher, that you're going to have educational things that you're going to teach them about. Now, so you're not going to teach them your products, because you're going to teach them about the big idea itself and what's possible for your clients. So then you can do webinars like this. You can have emails that go out. You can do social media stuff with it. But the big idea gives you the topic to use for the marketing, the educational marketing. So if that's what the question was.
Yeah, actually he clarified, Joe clarified and said, I meant what does Bill do with us beyond the big idea?
Oh,
how would you handle, yeah. So how?
Right, okay, well if somebody is interested in that, so we do the big idea session. And then I have a couple of different programs that I take people through, but essentially what it's designed to do is to teach you about marketing and then to help you put together your big idea program and get it out there into the world. So I'm a coach to help people come up with the idea and then launch those ideas out into the marketplace and make them successful. So I work with people like sometimes over a year to help them get their whole thing off the ground.
Great.
That's what I do.
Next question, how soon can we schedule a meeting?
Okay, that's a good question. Okay, well, if you send me an email to that email address, I can send you back a link to my calendar, and you can just book it right on my calendar immediately. So all you have to do is send me an email right away, and I'll send that back to you. It's also on my website. There's a place that says schedule a time. And the first call is a half an hour, just so I can learn about you first, and then we would schedule it 2 hours. So so I know what you're about, and then we do the 2 hours. So it's actually 2 meetings.
Great. Does your group also assist with marketing ideas once the big idea is developed?
Yes. So once we have the big idea, then we figure out how we're going to promote it. So you're probably asking promotional ideas. So that's actually an even bigger area that we get into. So yeah, that we do. That's where what we've been doing all these years. How do you promote yourself, right? But the key was the best way to promote yourself is to have that big idea to work with, right? So that makes promoting you better, or a lot easier too.
Of course, people want to know what the charge is. How much do you charge?
Okay, well, we actually have 2 levels. So one level is, level 1 is actually like a monthly webinar for 12 months and a bunch of other things, and that's actually only $100 a month for 12 months. So you have to commit to 12 months, but it's only $100 a month, so that usually fits most people's budget. The second level is $5,500, and that's the private coaching. And if you do level 1, and then you want to do level 2, you get a credit of $1,200 towards that $5,500. So you can either do level 2 right away, or you can start at level 1 and then work your way up to level 2. And then we have level 3, which is the new factory program, and that's $12,000. But nobody gets to do that first because we have to get the other things organized. So anywhere from $100 a month to $5,500.
Great. How do these folks you showed publicize their big ideas?
Well, all kinds of ways. One is that obviously the low-hanging fruit initially is their existing client base. So we send them out to talk to those people, their book of business, and say, I used to just have a hot dog, and now I have a gourmet meal. So maybe you'd be interested in the gourmet meal now. So usually that is the first thing I get them to do because it's the low-hanging fruit, right? So then the next step number 2, is I say, okay, how are we going to communicate with people? So that's usually by setting up different things like a regular email that goes out about this. And they usually nowadays using social media, so that's extending their reach of their communication. So we're just getting that all set up. So that's kind of a really meat and potatoes kind of thing. And then the third thing is to start going, okay, how am I going to meet more people? And I recommend that people get involved with groups of people. So trying to market one-to-one right now is very hard and getting harder. So we need to tap into what I call nodes. So we need to find nodes where, you can go into that node and meet lots of people. Just as like really, I'm in a node right now, right? I'm meeting lots of you by being in this node. So we have to find out what those nodes are and then say, how can I provide value to that marketing node, right? That group, which is to do publicity, to do to do webinars, do speeches, to do presentations, and that kind of thing, right? So there's lots and lots of things you can do. There's about 2,000 things that you shouldn't do. Okay, so I'm telling, one of the things I teach people is that do not do these things, because I've talked to hundreds of people and they didn't work. So don't do it. I'll save you lots of money for telling you things not to do, right? And one of the key things is that we're trying to find every possible way we can get marketing exposure and get out there and not spend money. As a matter of fact, figure out ways that we can do it and make money. So I teach people entrepreneur marketing. So I assume you have no budget for marketing at all, right? And that you don't really want to have one. So we're going to be really smart and figure out any way possible we can is not to spend any money on advertising and all these things that most of the time don't work anyway. So we're trying to get really smart here. So that's a long question to answer. So I'll stop there.
I don't know if this has already been answered, but I'm going to ask you again. Is a 2-hour session to develop the big idea a one-time event with a flat fee, or is that possible?
No, it's free. Sorry, maybe I didn't. I totally missed it. Okay. Maybe I didn't say that. It's a free 2-hour session. Okay. No charge.
Great.
Yeah.
Makes people happy. Okay, next one's kind of long. How would you handle a client that is not interested in the featured program, but they still want a more transactional solution? Do we abandon those fast food clients? How do you recommend we aim to transition our fast food clients to the gourmet menu, or would you recommend just starting new clients with the big idea?
Oh, okay. Good question, because I would have addressed it if I had more time, but I took that part out. Is that when you talk to prospects or existing clients, you now have 2 choices for them. Okay, you have basic and advanced. So you always have both, because that way they get to choose, so they're more likely to buy something. Secondly, if they take the fast food, well, then they can't complain they're not getting gourmet, right? So you're able to let them go a little more, and that's all they want anyway. So, but if they take the gourmet, well, then we're 10 times better off, right? So we want to give them the choice. Now, what happens is at some point, perhaps once you get enough gourmet members, okay, let's say you get 50 or 60, then you might say, well, I don't want any more fast food. So you might refer them to someone else in your organization or some other advisor out there in the marketplace, or even sell off that book of business or what have you. I've had a number of clients actually sell off their fast food book of business ultimately because they realized it wasn't worth it, and they had really fully made the transition to gourmet at that point. So, but at first, we're just giving them the choice. There's nothing wrong with the fast food people. It's just that they're not going to represent your future. They're not going to really enable you to grow your business. So we're not firing anybody. We're just giving people now 2 choices, and we know that what we're trying to build ultimately is a gourmet business, not a fast food business.
Great. Next one, will you help people with a big idea even if they don't sign up for a program? Do you get that in the initial consultation?
Yeah, so even in the first 30 minutes, we're going to start working on your big idea. So I just launch right into it. So everybody gets a big idea from me, no matter what. Whatever becomes of it, you're all going to get a big idea. I have no problem doing that. Like I'm fine. I do this hundreds of times a year with people, and it gives me energy, so I'm all good with it. So that's my calling card. I say, look, come to me, and I'll give you a big idea right out of the gate, no matter what.
And here's the next question, and I even know the answer to this. Are you Canadian?
Oh, boy. I wonder where you know that. Yes, I'm Canadian. Yes. I guess I do have a Canadian accent.
You do.
I don't.
Any other questions? Again, if you have a question, just type it in on your control panel in the question pane. I mean, we had a lot of questions. And if there are other questions that you think of, you can email Bill directly, or you can email me, Tracy, T-R-A-C-E-Y, @plusgroupus.com, and we will get your answers to you between Bill and I, or your local Plus Group office. Do you have to do the 30-minute before the 2-hour correct? Is that true?
Yeah, 30 minutes is the first step, because I got to know who you are. I got to learn a little bit about you, right?
Yep. Any other questions? Wow, I think we did great. Oh, wait, I cannot find your schedule on the website. Is it?
Yeah,
is there a
so
way
that's, if you can't find it, it's there, but it's just a button, and it's on the homepage. But just send me an email, and I'll send you the link right away.
Great.
Yeah.
Anything else, anyone? Any other questions? Bill, I think it was really informative. I think exciting ideas. We greatly appreciate, the Plus Group appreciates everyone for joining us today, and for Bill. You will receive a copy of this, the PowerPoint as well as the audio will be sent to you in 24 hours via email. So give me 24 hours and you will have it. And again, please feel free to contact me, Tracy O'Malley, or Bill, and his contact information is up there with additional questions.
Oh, yeah, there was one other thing we were going to mention.
Yes, go ahead. Yes.
I wrote an e-book about this. It's about 10 pages long, so I'm going to send that to Tracy, and I think you're going to put that up on the website, your website, so people can access that as well.
That'll be something separate that you'll either need to go to our website, or you can contact me or Bill, and we can get that out to you.
So it's got way more details about how to do this,
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Looks like that's about it. Again, there's Bill's information. Mine again is, there's some more coming in. Let's see, will you send me the link for the ebook? Yes. Okay, we will get those out to people, and again, contact Bill. His email's there. Mine is Tracy, Tracey, @plusgroupus.com. And again, thank you, everyone. Bill, thank you.
Thank you.
More. Oh, okay. Yes, everyone's asking for. We will get it out to you. Thank you, everyone. And yes, if you send me a question on there, I will make sure you get it. Or again, you can email me or Bill. The PowerPoint as well as the audio will be sent to you tomorrow. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a fabulous day. Bill, thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.